Hi, welcome to the Panic Button. I'm Nina.
I'm Jessie.
And today we're reacting to the offensive T word, Marcus. Anyway, we're reacting to Marcus's video on Jeffery Marsh.
And we like Marcus.
We do.
We do. We've watched Marcus for a while now.
Indeed,
But this video seemed to really disappoint you yesterday.
It was kind of threw me a little bit.
Who is Jeffery Marsh? Non-binary author and activist Jeffery Marsh is mostly known from TikTok, where he makes videos about self-love.
I'm just confused on how you can say actress and then say he.
Actually, actresses don't even like to be called actresses. They just like to be called actors.
Because of the stereotypes and the sexism.
Well, that too.
Right?
It's just easier to say actor as well, so.
No qualms, just saying it's like not cohesive.
Surviving abuse, trauma, and how to handle having narcissistic family members and partners. Some of his content is about his transness and about gender ideology. Jeffery has been accused of being a pedophile, which I will from now on call the P word. That's mostly due to his TikTok series, where he wants to talk to kids about gender ideology.
I want to talk to the kids. Hey kids. Hi kids. Hey kids. Hi kids.
This is a problem I have with another problem I have with Jeffery exactly is that children who want to talk about that should be talking to a therapist. They shouldn't be talking to him.
No.
Even if he says he's a therapist or a counselor or whatever, it's
Life
very
coach.
it's not the place for a child to be talking about that stuff. They need to
Or the person.
Yeah.
What fueled the P word accusation the most was a rumor about Jeffrey's Patreon. Patreon is a monetization platform that provides business tools for content creators to run a subscription service and sell digital products. People on the internet had a huge problem with one of Jeffrey's videos, which is now deleted.
Your parents screwed up. It's okay to say so. That's why I made a Patreon, so that we could talk about it, so that we could connect in a way that has more privacy, so that we could talk to each other in a way that's more...
So if you've gone no contact with your family because they couldn't handle you, which is something I have done in my lifetime, you don't advocate to other people to go no contact with their family because you're trying to validate your feelings.
Yeah.
As someone who's gone no contact with family, the reason you're doing everything you're doing is to form a version of a family because you miss that.
I've got no contact with my family as well.
And I guarantee you still missed having some sense of a family.
Mm-hmm.
Which is how everyone feels because humans are naturally, that's how we are wired, that's how we're raised, that's how it is.
Agreed.
So your indulgence in the no contact, although the argument I think Marcus pulled up is that this is not for children, this is for adults.
Mm-hmm.
Your content is going to children and adults, no matter what you do. If you start a separate channel that's just for children, that's a different story. You cannot separate content on one channel. Like, we're not going to start doing educational videos for children anytime soon. Especially...
Anytime soon.
And if we were, it wouldn't be on this channel.
No.
Because it's not the same content.
Going no contact means getting rid of toxic people in your life to protect your mental health. Sometimes it can be your parents or your friends. Some people thought the video was inappropriate because they assumed Jeffery was only talking to kids.
Also, going no contact is to protect your religious beliefs. People who have religious beliefs and their families don't agree, they go no contact. Usually, it's recommended by the church or cult that they do so. So this is just for their mental health. There's also other reasons why.
Well, outside of that, who is Jeffery to be telling people to go no contact with their families?
He doesn't know their families.
You don't know their dynamic. You don't know what other comorbidities these people may have, especially the children. Are you really going to say that you're going to contact children who are probably like 10 to 15 years old, right? You're going to tell them to go no contact with their family. What are they going to do?
Go to Jeffrey's place?
Where are they going to go?
To Jeffrey's Patreon?
You're expecting them to talk to you?
Yeah, that's what he's saying.
But you don't have any resources for these people.
I know, that's why I was saying they deserve to be in a therapist's office, not with Jeffery.
I think Jeffery is obviously approaching children too much and having topics that are too broad to say anything towards children.
Amongst many other things.
Yeah.
They thought he was like, if you don't like your family, I can be your family. Which is creepy. And inappropriate, of course. But was he talking to kids in that video? No. Jeffery always makes it clear when he's talking directly to children. It's the point of his cringy series, Hi Kids.
What?
That's what I was saying. I remember this point being brought up, and that's the problem. You cannot have adult content and children content on the same channel let alone from the same person. Do you want the Blue's Clues person talking to you about transitioning? Because they're trying to.
Wait, if you have a Hey Kids series that is for adults, then why wouldn't you say Hey Adults? If you're saying Hey Kids, it's very misleading.
He has a series, Jeffery Marsh has a series called Hey Kids.
Yeah.
Where it's videos specifically targeting kids.
Okay. But Marcus just said
Marcus is saying this video didn't start with Hey Kids, therefore it is not directed towards kids, it's directed towards adults. The problem is your platform is not an adult platform, so you can't say that. Kids and adults will equally receive this.
Yeah.
And if you have a series called Hey Kids and they stumble upon this video that's not in the Hey Kids video, are they not going to listen to it?
I get what you're saying.
Are they not going to watch their influencer influence? Like,
They certainly will.
Meaning, whenever he doesn't start a video with, "Hi kids," he's talking to adults. Whenever he's talking about going no contact, he's not talking to children, because the goal of going no contact is to heal childhood trauma. Children are not done experiencing childhood, so he's obviously talking to adults.
and so we love Marcus, but this is where Jeffrey's wrong. You cannot talk to children about healing you cannot talk about healing childhood trauma while talking with children. Yes. However, that's what Jeffrey's doing. And when you're targeting children and then saying no contact, even if in your little head you didn't think that the two were going to go together, they are. Every single time, because they watch your content.
Your parents made mistakes. It's okay to say that. You deserve peace from that, which is why you should do my workshop about healing childhood trauma.
Jeffrey's critics claim that he was back in 2023, luring kids to his Patreon where he was talking about sex. They claim that when he received backlash, he age-restricted his Patreon. But where are the receipts? Where's the proof? I've looked everywhere and I couldn't find any. What I did find was Patreon's guidelines. If you want to join a creator's membership as a Patreon, or provide membership as a creator, you must be at least 18 years old, or have permission from a parent or guardian. As we welcome people over the age of 13, we employ stricter measures to ensure their safety. That ultimately translates to zero-tolerance policy for sexualizing underage individuals on Patreon.
Does Twitch have the same thing?
I'm sure it has something similar. I don't think that agreement is followed.
No, it is definitely not. How many platforms have you seen that that allow people and creators to get away with a lot of stuff? I mean, Dr. Disrespect is one of them that is very recent.
Along with that, they're saying if they're 13 and older with parents' permission or advisory or guidance, their parents are not guiding them. Their parents are giving them their credit card and saying, yeah, you can put this in. Mm-hmm. That is not guidance.
Yeah.
And therefore it is not following through. Additionally, it said that there's no sexualizing of these minors. Just because you're not sexualizing the minors doesn't mean they're not going in and hearing about sex from a man who is significantly older than them and clearly has many mental problems with their past, which I'm not knocking because, like I said, I went no contact, you went no contact. Mm-hmm. We all had our own reasons, but we're not sitting here saying, come to our workshop, we're going to tell you about what your parents did wrong.
But that he suddenly age-restricted his Patreon. It was already age-restricted to begin with. You must be over the age of 18 to subscribe to someone on Patreon. Well, what if children steal their parents' credit cards? It's impossible to prevent those things from happening. But is the solution to ban creators who talk about sex on a website where it's allowed and where you have to be at least 18 to subscribe? Based on what?
The problem is that Jeffrey has content that directly targets children, meaning that those children will find a way to get on there and talk to Jeffrey.
Yes.
So,
or Jeffrey will find a way to contact these people. And emails exist, Patreon obviously exists. And love you, Marcus, but you keep saying that they have to be over 18. Obviously, they don't. They can be younger.
yeah, kids get away with a lot of stuff too. They can get around a lot of stuff. It's really hard to monitor children on platforms.
And as you said, they'll find what they want to find. So I guarantee you someone's posted something somewhere, and these kids will find it every single time.
Based on what if? It's a poor argument. As long as the rules are ethical, there's not much you can do about the people who don't follow the rules. Referring to children stealing their parents' credit cards. That's not the creator's responsibility. And if Jeffrey's following the rules, he's following the rules. Whatever you feel whenever you see or listen to Jeffrey is completely irrelevant. You might feel like he's creepy, but his appearance is not proof of him being the P-word.
Not necessarily his appearance, but his actions and what he says. And sorry, Marcus, but you can't tell people to ignore their feelings when they have intuitions about certain things. Isn't that correct?
It's correct, but I understand your point is there's no proof of diddling happening, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you said, actions. What I see from Jeffrey is someone who was abused and hurt as a child, who is now making content for children, but hasn't quite overcome his childhood trauma, which means he is not healthy for these children to be around to begin with, which also means that his infatuation with children and childhood trauma concerns me. Even if he's not the P word, he is concerning. The amount of interest that a man without children has in other people's children is concerning to someone who's been a victim as a child
Of
someone who's looking at other people's children. Like,
it's really hard to say on YouTube without getting
I think
demonetized.
that was the best way I could have put it.
Yeah.
I think that's the lowest key way I could have put it. As a victim of someone else looking at kids, I'm telling you, it makes you go on guard. And if Jeffrey isn't interested in children the way we're assuming, that's amazing. I hope he's not. I really hope and I pray that he's just a little weird. But the direct mention of children, my childhood, your childhood. I want my childhood to be better by living your childhood through you. Like a mom, I'm going to live my life through you to get what I didn't get because now I have control over someone else.
Yeah.
Even if you're not touching kids, you're mind-f***ing kids.
What's the definition of being creepy? Oh, there isn't one? So it's of course horrible and unethical to accuse someone of being one of the most horrible things in the world based on a subjective opinion and without having any proof.
This one's going out to Jeffrey Marsh. You're gonna back the fuck up all the way back into your whatever the hell lane it is that you should be using. Probably the one marked predator and pedophile.
I'm willing to sit with your pain, and I'll tell you why. I assume if somebody's so activated and so hateful towards someone they don't even know, that they're in a lot of pain and suffering.
Jeffrey hasn't responded to the P-word accusation, and honestly, I think it's fair because it's so absurd. I think it's fair for Jeffrey to criticize the people who are trying to defame him, because there are some people who are constantly making videos about him, making money by calling him the P-word. That's not okay.
Oh my God. Okay. I'm not for people specifically making content accusing other people of doing things so they can make money. I'm not for that.
We've covered Jeffrey, but
Yeah.
we wouldn't repetitively dig into someone unless we had warranted proof of a reason. But it's concerning. It's concerning the amount of interest.
Yeah, and the talking to children.
And also talking about sex still.
Yeah.
If I met a young lady who
And what
was
do you mean
in-
by talking about sex?
If I met a young lady who's in school and said that she thought she was a lesbian,
Mm-hmm.
I'm never talking about anything related to sex. I mean, do you feel like you like girls more?
You
Do
feel like you could fall in
feel-
love with a
Do
girl.
you feel like you could pursue a relationship? Do you feel like you want to start a family with a woman versus a man? That's the kind of questions I'm willing to ask. But I'm not going to ask them, do you...
Yeah, no.
Because that's not okay. It's also not okay to talk about your sexual experience with someone who's experiencing their sexual experiences. You cannot learn that way. And I think that's where the mess is.
The people who are constantly making videos about him are not just accusing him of being the P-word. They also criticize his radical opinions about gender, biology, transgenderism, and so on. Look, it isn't appropriate to accuse him of being the P-word without evidence, but it is fair to challenge the ideological views he promotes and wants children to learn. But the problem is, due to the inappropriate defamation attempt, all criticism, even valid criticism of Jeffrey, gets ignored and dismissed. I was about to say rightfully so, because if you're the type of person who would publicly lie about another human being, calling them the P-word without evidence, why should anyone listen to a goddamn thing you say?
I don't know why you're so mad, Marcus. Like, I don't know why you're so defensive of Jeffrey. Did you become friends with Jeffrey? I don't understand. See, when I was very, very young, I was, how do you say it on YouTube without getting demonetized? Taken advantage of by an adult. I guess it's the best way to say it without getting demonetized. And I'm also older. So I've had a lot of experiences. I've met a lot of people. I've heard and seen things, and I don't like to go into it in our videos because, but in this one, I have to. When you go through these experiences, you gain a certain insight, like a sixth sense, that other people don't have and can't possibly understand unless, they've gone through it as well. But you get a very, very sixth sense about people where it's you see and you know. And a lot of women have that sense Whenever it's like someone's around them that makes them feel uncomfortable, that female intuition is very, very important. And I don't like that Marcus is trying to tell people, like, if you don't have proof, you shouldn't feel this way. It's like, no, we're allowed to, based on our experiences.
Marcus has an issue with you calling someone a pedophile without proof. But how do you watch out for people who have a proclivity for children without, like, are you waiting for them to do it? Is
That's
that
the
what
problem.
we need? Is that what we need? We need to proof. We need proof. But we need them to do it before we actually realize, hey, maybe don't leave your kids with him. He kind of seems like a child lover. Which you were asking what the definition of a pedophile was. It literally means someone who loves children. And so, yes, I would say that we have proof that Jeffrey Marsh loves children. The amount of interest expressed, which I will say again, is the most concerning part. I'm not saying he touched a kid. I'm saying I'm scared he's gonna touch a kid.
Or at least mentally manipulate them.
I'm scared he's gonna mess with kids.
Yeah. But that's what I mean, mentally manipulating them first.
I'm
That's
not
where
saying-
it
Yeah, we're not-
leads. They become friends with these children online.
I haven't seen anyone say, I know he touched this kid, or I know he touched that kid, right? Because that would be...
But we haven't read the comments
That,
yet.
that
so.
would be accusatory, right? But no one's being accusatory. They're saying take caution because he seems a little too into kids.
Yeah.
You can still be right about a lot of other things, but I would say it's your own fault if people don't want to listen to you. Because it's a horrible, horrible, and illegal thing to do. To call someone a pedo when you don't know if they are a pedo. I don't like Jeffrey. I think his trans activism is harmful. Harmful to children. We shouldn't teach children about gender ideology. I mean, we shouldn't even teach adults about it. It's radical, fake, it has nothing to do with reality. And it's not going to benefit anyone to be a part of the trans community as it is today. To believe in gender ideology. I'm not even going to call it a religion, it's way more extreme than that. I'm not defending his views on gender biology. I'm just so sick and tired of seeing people or hearing people calling him the P word without any proof. And I'm calling those people out because it's actually hurting the cause.
He's not as concerned about his relationship with children, just what he's telling children.
I know.
That's the difference.
It's disappointing. It's disappointing that there's not,
A bigger concern?
like, saying that if you don't have proof that he's the P word, then you shouldn't, have doubts about him or discuss that as a possibility. That's like saying that unless you have proof that he's already harmed children, then you can't.
You gotta let him to the kiddie park.
Yeah, it's just it's not good.
Yeah.
Automatically lose the debate, the fight, because we are objectively wrong. And I don't want to see that happening. We need to make videos about him, debunking all the harmful lies he spews. The only reason why it's a thing, the only reason why I'm even talking about this in my video today, is because way too many people have been accusing Jeffrey of being the P word without any evidence. The only evidence they have is that, this YouTuber said it and this YouTuber said it. Well, does it make it true? No.
Wait, so the only reason you're doing this video is because you want to protect him? This is how it's coming across. Like you want to protect him, and I don't understand why. Why? There's so many other things that you could talk about. So many other things that are more important than protecting Jeffrey Marsh.
It seems like you're coming from this from a whole like social justice, innocent until proven guilty kind of thing.
Yeah.
We're not saying he's a convicted P word.
Right.
We're saying we're concerned he may become a convicted P word. And I don't know why.
Or he is a P word.
But
We're
he's not
concerned.
convicted.
Right.
And I think that's where this is getting lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
A lot of people are angry because
Yeah.
they were victims.
Uh-huh.
And that's why people are saying it so aggressively.
Because they have the antennas that are going up being like, oh, something smells funny in the state of Denmark.
I'm a little disappointed that you'd be knocking the people. Even Jeffrey didn't even knock the people that were saying he was a pedophile because he was like, you must have been hurt by someone who was a pedophile. And I don't see that as a knock. I'm just saying, like, someone who has been a victim is going to watch for predators.
Yeah.
And so they might
yeah.
see people who aren't predators as predators because they are so concerned. So for you to say that no one should listen to them is very disheartening because they have experiences and they're good for good causes.
La Habibi, it's the same thing with the woke left. Trans kids exist. How can you claim trans kids don't exist? They do. I mean, that's what I've heard. I think instead of doing the illegal thing of defaming Jeffrey, we should focus on the things he's actually saying and is actually doing. We need to criticize what he's actually saying and is actually doing. Why is that so hard? Why is that so hard to understand, at least? Him being creepy is not an argument. I used to say that in my last video about him, but I retract that. I'm gonna continue criticizing Jeffery Marsh.
Him being creepy towards children is totally an argument. Him being creepy in general, if he wasn't talking to kids,
Wouldn't be an argument.
wouldn't be an argument because there's a ton of creepy weirdos on the internet.
Amen to
But
that.
it's the targeting children. And I'm going to
Yeah.
keep saying that because that's really the problem. Mm-hmm. That really is the problem.
Super duper.
Criticize his views on gender, biology, trans kids, non-binary, and the fact that he calls himself trans. The thought of that gives me a headache. When it comes to Jeffery Marsh, there's a lot to talk about, so I will. But if you haven't caught the memo, I will never, ever accuse him of being the P word, without proof, without evidence, and nor should you.
You know what? I'd rather not have evidence. I would rather it not be happening or be something that may happen. I don't. But
If you want to talk about the things Jeffrey's doing and why they've influenced the label that people have given him, then I will gladly show you why. Jeffery Marsh having a specific kids-based programming on a channel where he talks about adult-based programming also, especially in the therapeutic sense, is the most damaging thing he can do to children. He's all over the most confusing topic possible for children. So how can you just allow this to happen and say, don't call him that, though?
I don't know.
I don't get it. But go ahead.
So I want to go over some comments before we close the video out.
Okay.
Here's one of them. As a psychologist, I find Jeffery Marsh's behavior concerning. It is inappropriate to talk to children on subjects you are a layman in, while simultaneously pretending to be an authority on that subject. It is inappropriate to encourage any adult or child to go no contact if you are not a qualified professional. That's what cults do to recruit vulnerable individuals/followers. Jeffrey's passive-aggressive behavior is difficult to watch, as is the love bombing he does frequently. Lastly, I question Jeffrey's motives as far as I've been able to find. Jeffrey's qualifications are in the performing arts and not in any subjects he covers on his platforms. As someone once said to me, just because you have a set of teeth, it doesn't make you a dentist. It's true.
Nothing but facts in that statement.
Here's another one. Jeffrey may or may not be a P word, but he certainly gives off those vibes. And some of the commenters here who have been groomed picked up on that, as did I. Speaking as another who was groomed by an adult when I was a young girl. This video pushed my buttons and made me feel invalidated. You lost me on this one. That is also a problem with this video.
Like I said, if you're going to sit here and tell us that we don't know what we're talking about, when we've been through what we think he might be doing to others, then you make, it's just like I've said to you, the Me Too movement is so disingenuous because it belittles the people who've been through it. If you were expressing your difficulty with essay of any form, and someone just was like, me too. Talk about degrading. Talk about heart-wrenching.
Here's another one. I was abused physically, mentally, and blank from the age of 6 to 25 by many different men. They all used very different tactics, and I'm hyper aware of them now. There might be no evidence of him physically doing something wrong, so all I can say is this. I wouldn't go anywhere near this guy. My gut instinct is telling me to stay away, so I wouldn't allow my kids anywhere near him either. No adult should be addressing kids online about anything. Never mind talking about intimate topics like sex, gender, relationships, etc. The things he says and does to get a child's trust just turns my stomach. Let me ask you all this. If a cis male was doing these things, would people still defend his behavior? Would YouTube allow him to keep his channel? There may be no evidence of physical wrongdoing, but from everything I have witnessed, his behavior is still predatory. He needs to leave children alone. Amen. Here's another. I don't care how he looks or identifies. The core problem is him trying to isolate children from their parents and rely on him. Key. That is key.
Yes.
Here's another. I am just a straight dude that does watch you and I like your views. But I do have to say that the problem I have is the only way you find out if he's a P word is when it's too late.
And that's why people are saying, they're not saying Jeffery Marsh.
Hold on, I'm not done yet.
Sorry.
So you have to use your heart/gut. I agree people shouldn't attack him, but he does give way too many vibes that he's a P word. Just my thought. People should be aware of him.
Which is what we were saying, which is what everyone is saying. They're not saying, Jeffery Marsh, you are someone who touches kids. Because the only person who knows that right now is Jeffrey currently, right? we're not saying we know this is fact. We're saying that we have feelings that something is not right there.
Yes. Also, it is not illegal in the U.S. to call people names. So, might be in Europe, but it ain't here. Here's one. I remember a woman disagreeing with Marsh. His way with how he addresses kids and how odd his channel was. He had her family, including children, constantly harassed and doxxed until the woman was in tears, scared to go out or let her kids out because of the death threats. His response was pretty much, "This is what you get when you mess with me." She made several public apologies, saying she'll never mention his name again. She's sorry and please leave her family alone. After a short time, he did. These are all suspicious things here. Here's another one. I was essayed as a child, and I will trust my instinct above all else. Something is definitely wrong with this man, and a lot of people sense it. I don't call him a P word without evidence, but so much CSA, child blank assault, goes on, and it stays in the dark and can go on for years through fear tactics, and we need to take our power back and speak out when it's warranted, and in this case it is. And that's true. The Me Too thing, how long was stuff going on before anyone was prosecuted? Before anyone was called out publicly and people believed them?
The amount of people who have been victims of SA
It's
and
a lot.
not come forward to police is insane. Because I guarantee you they came out to someone else before, and at one point or another they were told it's not worth it because nobody's going to believe you. So it is so damaging to the people who are going through things.
Yes, it is.
And Jeffrey is definitely not good for the mental psyche of children or adults who have been through anything like this. He doesn't have the qualifications. He doesn't have the information to give. And if all he can tell anyone is go no contact and talk to me about your problems, then what are you doing? We still love Marcus. It's just...
We do. It's not that we dislike Marcus. We dislike this opinion. And I feel like sometimes Marcus can be easily swayed.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, like someone like Jeffery Marsh,
Want to do the swaying?
can smell someone like Marcus a mile away.
I don't think Marcus is easily swayed. I think Marcus is not a fan of calling people things, like name calling. We are calling out an action. And there's a big difference between saying, I think he's dangerous, and he is dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe to our channel. Join our membership for early access to our videos and all that
Prioritize
stuff.
comments.
That too. And how did you guys feel about this video? Marcus's video discussing Jeffery Marsh. How do you feel about Jeffery Marsh?
Comment below.